Hi guys, this is our battery tutorial for our battery bank. We use a program called Sketchup. It's free to download and the link is in the description below. What I'm going to start off with is a rectangle on our bottom plane. I'm going to link it to the origin because that's where I like to position my parts when I'm designing them. Now on the scale that we're in, Sketchup is by default zoomed out a little bit, so I'm just zooming in to get a nice view of my part. So I'm going to start off by clicking on this rectangle and then entering in my dimensions. Now what happens in SketchUp is it works like a graph. So you enter in your X dimension and then your Y dimension afterwards. After we have this rectangle, we can extrude it up. Simply click again, type in your dimension that you want, press enter, and there we have a rectangle. Now there's a tool, a line tool that we're going to use, and we're going to use some of SketchUp's functionality where it snaps to the middle point of a line. So we're going to create this line on top, and we want 3 circles for our cell terminals. So what we're going to do is click on the center point of our circle, the line that we just created, giving it a dimension of 15 radius. Now we're going to do midpoint again because it segments the line and creates another midpoint, and we're going to do it on the other side, creating our 3 battery terminals that we have the picture in our battery. After this, we're going to delete the line that we just snapped onto, because otherwise we'd have to extrude up both sides of them circles, and the line isn't needed after this anyway. And if you make a mistake like this, simply click, press 0 and enter, and it rectifies the problem. So I'm going to extrude these terminals up by 25. Now these dimensions aren't given to us on our design specification for our battery, so we're guessing basically, because we're not trying to create the part exactly, we're trying to replicate the part, and if we overestimate then we'll still be able to design our battery bank appropriately. Now this is the guideline tool. What you do is you click on the line that you want to and in the direction that you want to offset to. We're creating 2 lines off each side, 40mm apart. We're also doing it from the front and back, 40 again, because again this doesn't need to be precise. We're just trying to get that little bit of extra dimensions that the battery's got on it, so that we don't build our battery bank into our battery. Now if you are following, there's a circle on the furthest to the edge, it's got a radius of 7.5, and the one closest to the centre has got a radius of 10. And just because on our picture these are a little bit taller than our cells, we're just going to put them at 30mm. After this process the battery is pretty much made, but SketchUp has an annoying habit that if you don't group everything together, everything moves, because it sees each extrude in each part as its own individual part, which isn't what we want, as you can just see here. So what we're going to do is we're going to group the battery together. There's 2 ways of doing this. The first way that I'm going to show you is basically what you'd do if you'd have a group of components that you want to stay together. So, and that's simply grouping all these parts together. So you need to select on all your faces, and if you do select an edge by accident, don't try and unselect it because it doesn't really matter. So if you right click on this drop down menu, you see make group, and as you can see in a minute, you can, all them parts just selected moves together. Now that's not what we want, so what we're going to do is we're going to create the whole battery as a group. So if I undo that move, it goes back to where it was. So I'm going to select the group and the other faces that I didn't select before. Make group, and if you'll see, the whole battery now moves. But again, that's not what we want. That's what we'd do if we had multiple components that we wanted to move with each other. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to undo them groups and we're going to make a component within SketchUp. That's done simply by selecting all the planes you want in a group, Getting your drop down menu by right clicking again, create component, and name the component what you want. I'm naming it battery. The other settings don't really matter at the minute, so we're just going to press create. Now we've got our battery component. Now we don't want it to look really pretty because we're not designing the component, we're remaking it so that we can reduce human error when we're designing our battery bank. And that's it until next week.